I don't usually go home for winter break. My college is 8 hours away, and I usually just stay on campus, work extra shifts, or hang out with the few people who don't go home. But last year my mom insisted. It was the first winter without my grandfather, and she didn't want the house feeling empty. I said sure. I figured a quiet break at home would be good for me. The drive itself was normal, long, boring, mostly rural highways. The last hour is the worst because once you exit the major road, everything becomes forest, farmland, and long stretches of nothing. My childhood home sits in a cul-de-sac at the bottom of a hill. It's one of those places that feels peaceful in the summer but eerie in the winter, when everything is dead and silent. My parents weren't home when I arrived. They were Christmas shopping, so I let myself in. Everything looked exactly the same. Same wooden coat rack, same rug, same faint smell of my mom's candles. It felt nostalgic in a bittersweet way. Around midnight, while I was unpacking in my old room, I heard footsteps outside the house. Not animals, real footsteps, slow, crunching in the snow, coming around the side of the house. My parents had gone to bed over an hour ago. Nobody should have been outside. I went to my window and peeled the curtain back an inch. At first, all I saw was white snow lit by the street lamp. Then something moved. A person. A man, dark coat, hood up. He was walking alongside the house, toward the backyard. He wasn't holding a shovel or walking a dog. He wasn't lost or confused. He was looking at the house, at the windows. I backed away. My heart was pounding so hard I felt it in my throat. I almost called out for my dad, but I realized something. If the guy heard me, he'd know what room I was in. I stayed silent. After a minute, I forced myself to look again. He was gone. No prints leading away, just the one circling the house. When I told my dad the next morning, he shrugged it off. Probably a teenager messing with people. People cut through the yard sometimes. But nobody cuts through our yard, not in the winter, not at midnight. I tried to ignore it. Winter break had just started, and I didn't want to spend it paranoid. But I kept seeing the same footprints in fresh snow outside different windows. They never led anywhere. They always appeared overnight. My mom suggested it might be a delivery person, except we didn't order anything. Then came the night I really couldn't ignore it anymore. My dad went to bed early. My mom followed around 11. I stayed up on the couch watching a movie, and at some point I passed out at around 2 a.m. Something woke me up. A door closing. Not upstairs, downstairs. I sat up slowly, listening. The house creaked sometimes, but this wasn't a creak. It was the unmistakable sound of the basement door shutting. I instinctively looked across the room at it. It was closed, but I knew for a fact it had been wide open when I fell asleep. Nobody else was awake, and nobody else would have gone down there. I don't know why I did it, but I got up, grabbed my phone light, and approached the door. My hand shook as I turned the knob. The basement was pitch black. I didn't go down, I just shone my light. And I saw the footprints, wet prints, human prints, leading up the basement stairs. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I was going to faint. Someone had been in our basement. My first instinct was to run upstairs and wake my dad, but I heard something that froze me. Breathing. Coming from the bottom of the stairs. I slammed the door shut, shoved the deadbolt across, and backed away so fast I nearly tripped. Then I yelled for my dad. He came running half asleep and confused. By the time he opened the basement door, whoever had been down there was long gone. The basement window was cracked open, and snow was blowing in. It was small enough that only a thin person could squeeze through. But clearly someone had. The police came, looked around, took a report. They found footprints in the snow leading into the woods behind our house. They never found the guy. We bought cameras after that. I didn't want to stay the rest of break, but my parents insisted things were safe now. Cameras, alarms, everything. Still, I slept with my door locked. On my last night there, I woke up at 4 a.m. to a notification on my phone. Motion detected, backyard camera. My body instantly went cold. I opened the app, it was him. Same guy, same coat, standing at the edge of the yard facing the house. Not moving, just watching. He stayed there for 10 minutes. The police came again, searched the woods again, found nothing, again. I left the next morning. My parents still live in that house. They say they haven't seen him since, but sometimes late at night I get random notifications on the camera app they still let me access. Motion detected backyard, motion detected side gate. Whenever I check, it's always empty, but I can't shake the feeling that he's still out there. Maybe planning something, trying to get something from us. I have no idea. When I was in 7th grade, winter break was the highlight of the year. No homework, no waking up early, just video games and hot chocolate. My parents worked a lot, but I didn't mind being home for a few hours during the day. Back then, I felt invincible. The thing about being 13 is you think danger is obvious, like an action movie bad guy kicking down the door. But real danger is quiet. It watches you before you ever notice it. I learned that during one blizzard, and it changed the way I see winter forever. School had just let out for break. We got hit with a snowstorm that weekend, the kind that canceled everything. My parents both worked overtime at the factory and wouldn't be home until evening, so they left me with their old flip phone in case of emergencies. Around noon, the snow started coming down hard. Thick flakes that made the street look like a blanket of sheet paper. I heated up leftovers, turned on my Xbox, and honestly forgot about the storm completely. Until I heard the backyard fence creak. We had one of those wooden fences with a latch that squealed loudly. It didn't open unless someone physically pushed it. I paused my game and went to look out the kitchen window. The gate was open, but no one was there. My heartbeat sped up a little, but I convinced myself the wind had done it. I closed the curtain and went back to my game. The noise happened again about 30 minutes later. This time I looked faster. The gate was open even wider, and there were footprints. My stomach dropped. The prints were big, adult-sized, and they led from the open gate straight toward the house, then disappeared under the roof overhang, right below the kitchen window. Someone had walked right up to where I was standing earlier. I called my mom, but the phone kept dropping the call. The storm was messing with the reception. I paced around the kitchen, trying to calm myself down. I told myself it was probably the neighbor checking on something, or maybe someone lost. Then I heard a knock. A few slow knocks on the back door. Not the front, the back, right where the footprints were. My whole body locked up like ice. I didn't answer. I didn't even breathe for a few seconds. Then I heard a man's voice. "Hey, is anyone home? My car's stuck. I need help." His voice was low, flat. Not panicked at all, more like he was reciting a line. I stayed silent. He knocked again, harder this time. "I can see the lights on, just open up." I backed further away from the door. Something in his voice felt off, too calm, too rehearsed. Then he started jiggling the door handle. That snapped me out of it. I ran upstairs to my room and locked the door. I heard the back door rattling again. He didn't call out anymore. He just kept trying the handle. Then I heard some footsteps in the snow. They moved around the side of the house toward the front. I crawled to my bedroom window and peeked through the blinds. The man was now standing on the front porch. His coat was black, his hood was up, face was covered with a scarf. I couldn't even see his eyes. He just stood there, facing the door. I felt tears start filling my eyes. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to call 911 unless I was absolutely sure. My parents taught me not to bother the police unless it was a real emergency. And then I saw him bend down and pick something up off the porch. It was a screwdriver. My dad left it there earlier when fixing a loose hinge. I watched horrified as the man tried to insert it into the door's lock. That was enough. I called 911. While the operator answered, the man kept working the screwdriver, testing the lock again and again. The metal scraped loudly. The entire door shook. "Someone's trying to break into my house," I whispered into the phone. The woman was calm. "Are you alone?" "Yes." "Go to room with the lock. Stay on the line." I crawled into my closet and shut the door. I heard the front door thud as he hit it with his shoulder. Then, silence. I didn't know if he'd left or if he was inside. Minutes honestly felt like hours. Finally, I heard sirens approaching. Then I heard the man running. I heard him finally sprint across the porch. When the police arrived, he was already gone. They found footprints leading down the streets, leaving the neighborhood. My parents came home in a panic. The police stayed for a bit, asked me questions, wrote down my description. They told us that during big storms, break-ins spike because everyone assumes neighbors won't see anything. The lock was damaged and had deep scratches around it. If the police had been even 2 minutes later, I don't know, I don't even like to think about that possibility. We got new locks, cameras, better lighting. But that winter break changed me. Sometimes I still hear that knock in my head, and the way he said just open up. I didn't want to be home alone after that. Every time my parents were out, I would just stay at a relative's house. I was 24 when I took a seasonal night shift job at a ski lodge in Colorado. Not to sound dramatic, but that winter is probably the closest I've ever come to dying, or at the very least getting seriously messed up by another human being. The job itself wasn't that deep. I wasn't a ski instructor, I wasn't some wild mountain guy. I was basically the dude they trusted to keep the place running between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. That's the shift nobody wants, the shift where everything is dark and guests are asleep, and the building makes noises it probably shouldn't. But rent was high, student loans were real, and the lodge offered free housing if you worked nights. Housing was a tiny basement room with concrete walls, a twin bed, but hey, free is free. So I took it. Looking back, I don't regret it, but I also wouldn't necessarily recommend it. The night this happened was late in December, right in the middle of winter break. The lodge was at full capacity, families, snowboarding kids, awkward couples trying to fix their relationships on vacation, you name it. That afternoon, the weather guys warned us a major blizzard was tracking toward the mountain. And when I say major, I'm talking whiteout conditions, wind strong enough to bend trees, the whole thing. By midnight, everyone was basically locked inside their rooms or sluggishly finishing their drinks in the main lounge. Around 1 a.m., even the party crowd gave up, and the entire building went dead quiet. Well, except for the storm. There's something freaky about wind at that altitude during a snowstorm. It has this weird low howl that sort of vibrates through the windows. You feel it more than you hear it. Anyway, I was in the hallway that leads to the equipment storage room mopping, and then I got this feeling. You know when you're sure someone is watching you, like your brain picks up on it before your eyes do? That's exactly what hit me. I turned to look down the hallway. There was a guy standing all the way at the end of the hall. Tall, covered in snow, just staring at me. The hallway's long, like 50, maybe 60 feet, and he was just standing there like he'd been waiting for me to notice. One big problem. Our doors lock at 10 p.m. The guests have key cards. No one from outside can get inside after that. So unless this guy dug under the snow and teleported in, he shouldn't have been there. Sir? I called. Nothing. He just turned and walked around the corner. No stumbling, no confusion, just straight up gone. Keep in mind, I'd been away for like maybe 18 hours, and I assumed maybe I saw a guy sneaking around drunk or something. But something about the way he moved bothered me. Like he wasn't lost, he was hiding. I tried to radio the front desk, but no one answered. That's pretty typical, honestly. Most night shift people vanish for 5-minute breaks that turn into 20. So being the responsible idiot I was, I followed him. I turned the corner he'd gone around, nothing. But there were puddles, fresh ones. He was soaked from the snow, so the trail was obvious, and led straight to the stairwell down to the basement. My stomach kind of dropped. The basement was staff only. No reason a random dude would be heading down there during a storm like this. I pulled out my flashlight and headed down. Halfway to the bottom I heard a clang, a heavy metal on metal sound echoing through the basement. I stopped. Another clang, distant but clear. That sound didn't belong to anything normal. It was something heavy being moved or dropped. I kept moving though. The storage room in the basement is basically a maze of narrow rooms full of old equipment, seasonal decorations, boxes nobody's opened since the 90s, all that kind of stuff. The noise had come from storage 2B. The door was cracked open. It was never supposed to be open. I pushed the door with the end of my mop handle and shined my flashlight inside. Boot prints, soaked and muddy, leading between the shelves. Hello? I called. Even though my brain was screaming, why would you announce your location? No answer, so I stepped inside. The room was freezing, way colder than the hallway. That freaked me out because the storage rooms didn't have exterior access, no reason for it to feel like a walk-in freezer. Then I saw something on the floor at the back, a jacket, torn, like ripped off, one sleeve shredded. Next to it was a key card, an employee key card, but I recognized the name, and that guy wasn't working that night. He wasn't even at the lodge anymore. He quit a week earlier after getting frostbite on a night hike. None of this made sense. That's when my hand started to shake a little. I backed out slowly, shut the door, and basically speed walked to the security office. The security office gets a bad rap for being creepy, but honestly it's the safest room in the entire lodge. Thick walls, locked doors, emergency radios. I pulled up the camera feeds. Nothing in the hallway, nothing in the stairwell, nothing in the basement corridors. Then I checked the camera right outside the storage room, and I promise you he was standing in front of the door, just standing there, staring almost directly into the camera lens. Snow was falling off of him and puddling around his feet. No expression, no blinking, just breathing slow and heavy. I completely stopped in my tracks. Then, and I hated this, he tilted his head so, like he was listening to something behind him, and then he walked away out of the frame, not running, just calm. I finally grabbed the radio. Front desk come in, we have a trespasser inside the lodge. Silence. Front desk respond. Still nothing. I didn't want to leave the office. Every rational part of me was screaming wait for backup. But I also knew there was families sleeping upstairs. This guy had already broken into one room, things could get bad really fast, so I left. And yeah, I know, it was a horrible decision. The lodge connects to the equipment building through the long underground tunnel. It's well lit but super echoey. Every footstep sounds like 5 footsteps. I was halfway through when I heard footsteps behind me. But they weren't matching my pace. They were pacing themselves with me, soft and deliberate. I spun around. There he was. Not running, not hiding, just standing about 20 feet back, breathing like he sprinted a marathon. His hood was off now. His face was red and raw from the cold. His lips looked cracked. Eyes wide in this hungry way. Not literal hunger, more like desperation. "Sir, you can't be back here," I said, my voice cracked embarrassingly hard. "Come with me and we'll get you." Before I could even finish my sentence, he sprinted at me. No warning, no hesitation, just full speed. I turned and ran. If you've never run full speed through a narrow tunnel while someone is chasing you, trust me, it changes your brain chemistry. My lungs were burning. The tunnel echoed so loud I couldn't tell how close he actually was. I booked it to the end, shoulder slammed the equipment building door open, and locked it behind me. I backed away, grabbing the closest thing that resembled a weapon, a ski pole. Then I heard his breathing on the other side of the door. Then he whispered through the crack beneath the door, "They locked me out." My skin started crawling. He said it again, angrier. "They locked me out. I had to get in." The door handle was starting to rattle violently. He said, "I had to." I swear he sounded like he was about to cry, but not in a sad way. In a furious way, like he blamed me. I backed up further. "Front desk, I need security now," I said into the radio, finally getting a response. They said they were sending 2 guys down. Those 5 minutes felt like 10 hours. When they arrived, the man was gone. The emergency exit at the far end of the equipment building had been opened. It wasn't even an alarm door, which still irritates me. His footprints led straight into the blizzard and toward the tree line. Police and rescue searched the area once the storm cleared. Up the mountain about a half a mile away, they found an abandoned campsite. Clothes scattered in the snow, a wallet with a photo ID, the same guy. He had been reporting missing 3 days earlier. No explanation for how he survived that long in the cold, though. No explanation for why he came to us, and there's definitely no explanation for how he got inside the building in the first place. Honestly, I didn't wait around to see if he'd come back. I quit the next day on the spot, packed my stuff, moved out of the dorm, and got a job in town working at a print shop. It's been years and I still think about his voice. That whisper, the weird trembling anger underneath it. Sometimes I wonder if the rescue team ever found where he went after he ran back into the trees. But the scariest part about it, sometime when the wind hits my apartment window just right, it sounds exactly like that tunnel. And for a second, I feel like I can hear his footsteps behind me again. Honestly, I just try not to think about it anymore. I'm just glad no one got injured.